Welcome. I'm Julie Bacon, and you're listening to the Mindset Coaching for Handlers podcast, a podcast for dog handlers who are on a mission to achieve big goals. Here I share lessons, insights, personal stories, and tools you can apply during your next show, trial, or test to help you strengthen your mental game and hopefully cue more consistently. Be sure to check out the show notes where you'll find details about the episodes, plus important links, including the link to the Dogged Planner and Workbook created just for handlers on a mission. So if you're ready to improve your competitive mindset, get out of your own way, and connect with your dog like never before, then it's time to get comfy, bring an open mind, and work your mindset. Hey there, welcome back to the podcast. This week we are talking about energy. So I'm kind of obsessed with energy because I think that, first of all, our dogs read our energy so well. And so, what we're feeling, what we're bringing to the table, the energy of the room, the energy of the trial environment. Is it busy? Is it wild? Is it calm? Is it, soothing? I think that it's something that we notice, and maybe we don't always put a word to it. Maybe we don't consciously say, like, walk in a building and be like, oh, the energy of this building today is quite chaotic. I don't know that any one of us say that really out loud, but I think we feel it, and we know, and we recognize that our dogs feel it, and our dogs are really sensitive to it. And I've had, people on the podcast, even with me, talking about energy, and there've always been really great conversations because there is this conversation about getting the energy that you want and having a little bit more control, or maybe not control, maybe proactivity is the word, or being proactive about, maybe is a better way to say it, our energy and the energy that we want. So over in the membership a while ago, I did like a whole month. Actually, I think we've done a couple months over the courses of the few years of the membership. And we've devoted just the whole month to like picking apart our energy and figuring out how we can have, I'm going to say, more of a say in our energy and more of a say in our dog's energy and just how we show up and being a lot more deliberate about that. And so I've talked about, obviously building our awareness about that, building our awareness about how our dogs are and what we can do about that. And even going so far as to like to visualize the energy that we want out of a certain day, right? To imagine like how it's all going to go down and how you're going to feel and how your dog's going to feel and how you're just going to be maybe the energy you're going for is calm but focused, or maybe the energy you're going for is vibrant and alert but focused, right? We always want the focus. We always want the connection. And so I'm going to share today one of the lessons from a membership month on energy. And this one specifically is about how you get it back, okay? Because I think we can all go into an environment and be like, this is the energy I intend to have today. This is what I'm expecting. I've got my rituals in place, like all buttoned up, like I got a plan upon plan upon plans. We are ready. And then lo and behold, something goes sideways. Would that ever happen? I can't imagine. And so this particular lesson that was shared in the membership last year is about getting that energy back and resetting. Right? And getting back to what you visualized for your day, getting back to what you wanted to have happen, or even what you expected to have happen. So enjoy this episode, this lesson. It gives you a little glimpse inside the membership, of course, but also it's just a really great reminder for all of us. I'm like, how to get it back when potentially it goes off the rails. Enjoy. We are going down this energy path, and we started with awareness, and then we started with visualizing the energy we want. So it's the energy we bring and versus the energy we want to have and how we do that. And so this week it makes sense to talk about resetting, okay? Because without fail, life, dogs, trial environments, runs, whatever, are going to throw us for a loop, okay? Or we're going to react in a way that we would not really have chosen, right? Like if we had it all to do over again, we might have chosen differently, but we reacted instead of responded, and here we are. So we need to understand how to reset. And, and sometimes too, we're resetting because this energetic experiment that we've chosen to do, right, on a given weekend or trial or day didn't work. We tried something, We found out that that was not going to happen. And we now have to reorganize and reset. All right. So we're going to talk about some of the tools, some of the ways that we can reset. All right. And we're also going to talk about some of being aware of some of the ways we can get our dogs to reset, because our dogs get too much, too little, too nervous, too serious, too silly, too whatever. And so sometimes we have to get them to reset as well. So let's talk about us first, because as we know, it all goes up and down the leash. And I always say up and down because it is what we send to them, but we're reacting and responding to what they send to us as well. As a caveat, I always like to splice that, right? A reaction to me is something that we just do. Like it's a knee jerk. It's just we don't give a lot of thought to it. We just react. Sometimes reacting is good, right? A loose dog is running by us. We reach out, we grab them. That's a great reaction, right? Catching a ball so it doesn't hit our face. That's a great reaction. A response is taking a pause and really thinking about what it is that we want to do or how we want to show up in the moment. And that obviously is preferred. So we want to be able to do that with our energy, but what happens when our energy gets off, or we have either a reaction and we want to recover from, or we did an experiment that didn't work, or we just want to change tactics, right? Or we just maybe need to come out of a funk, right? Maybe we got disappointed or frustrated with something and we know that we need to quote, shake it off, or, just readjust. All right. So the reason I spent so much time last week on, well, what is the energy you want, is you have to know what you're trying to get back to. Okay. And you may have even gone so far as to figure out the energy you want for each dog. But at minimum, I want you to know what the energy is that you like to be in, right? What's the energy where you're happy, content, feel ease? Maybe, for me, I don't like to be too relaxed because I always feel like I don't run as well or compete as well when I'm relaxed. I like to have a little bit of an edge going on. But again, Goldilocks problems, figure it out for yourself. What is too much, too little, just right? And know what that is that you want. Okay. Again, we have to know what we want in order to get there. All right. So you are at a trial, or maybe the weekend, or maybe you had a bad Monday morning at the house or whatever, right? And there was something that did not go the way you wanted. Okay. So let's say you're frustrated, because that's a common trial emotion. You're frustrated. So you get frustrated, but you've got another run, either with the same dog or a different dog, and you've got to get your mind right, right? How often does that happen? Whether it's from, a disappointment, or like I said, frustration, or whatever it is, you've got to, quote, get your mind right. You got to get back to being in that positive energy, good flow state, just an energy from which you can perform and do things in a positive way, and also be there for your dog. So how do we get back? Okay, so there's a lot of different things that we can do. These are going to be super personal. So everything I'm about to say is just brainstorming and what works for me or what I've seen work for other people. But you're going to have to find your own path. I love music. Music definitely resets me. We've talked about the fact that I use music as part of my getting ready rituals in the morning. And if it's a type of environment like agility where I can walk the course and listen to music, I do that. If it's a different environment, like maybe draft or something, I am listening to very specific music while I'm driving there or in the morning to get me ready. I don't usually listen to music while I walk that course because it's kind of a different setup. Rallies sometimes here or there, whether I listen to music while I'm walking, but I'm definitely listening to it in the morning. And when I'm listening to music, I tend to listen to one song over and over again, because what I am trying to do is I'm trying to create an earworm, right? Which is typically an annoying thing, but in this case really works, because when I lose the energy that I want, right? Because my music is typically the energy that I want to be in that day, in terms of fast, slow, hard, soft, whatever kind of hype music that you listen to. And I highly suggest making a playlist for this. I just recently was chatting with somebody online who says she has a playlist for each dog. Couldn't love that more. And I think that's really important, right? Because every dog is not going to need the same song, for instance, and you're not going to need the same song. Okay. So music is one of those ways, and using that earworm because it's really then accessible to me to get me back to that music, which was back to a way that I was feeling energetically, right? So it's very connected, and it's a very easy way, a very quick way for me to get back to that moment of where my energy was good and it was right, and I had the right, even certain music is the right like beats or the way of walking or moving through whatever sport I'm going to play that day, right? And I've known people who've listened to like very heavy metal or, just it's all over the board. But the point is your music is going to naturally emulate the energy that you want. It just is. You don't even have to think about it. Matter of fact, don't think about it because you'll be drawn to the right energy without much thought. I know that I am. I will pick a piece of music. Sometimes if I need to lighten up, I'll pick like a happier, sillier song. If there's something more focused or I feel like I'm not being very focused, then I'll pick something that needs to be more focused. And like I said, I tend to listen to the same song all day, but I've been known to listen to the same song for years. Okay. And it works for me because it gets me back to that moment of, music is so much in our feelings. It gets me back to that feeling and that energy and that very specific frequency and way of being and how I want to feel. And it's very fast for me. So I'm partial to music. If music's not your jam, don't worry, I have more suggestions, but I am partial to that. And that is why I'm such a big proponent of music or listening to something on, while you walk the course or while you get ready in the morning. As a kid, I used to do that when I would get ready in the morning and I was like with the horses, I was braiding tails or whatever. I had a playlist, back in the day, and I recreated most of this playlist later in my life, but, back in the day, I had a playlist that started out very slow. Remember like Chariots of Fire? We had definitely some Chariots of Fire because I was usually getting up at like, dark, whatever. And like, I didn't want anybody yelling at me first thing in the morning. So it would start out very slow. And this was a long playlist because I had chores in the morning. I had my Walkman, with my cassette tape of my, music. And, because I'm that old. And, with my fuzzy little headphones, and I would do all my chores in the morning, and that playlist would build. And as it went on, there was some specific songs for specific horses in there. But as it went on, it would Billy Joel's Pressure was in there, and Prince's Baby I'm a Star is in there, and Tina Turner's Simply the Best was in there toward the end. All those were toward the end. I can't remember the exact order. I do have it though, recreated. And it would start slow and it would build to that. Okay. And I did that all the time because that was setting my energy like perfectly. Because when I got to that last note of that last song, I wanted to put my headphones, down in my trunk, get on and be like, I can do this. Like, I've got this. That was the energy I was going for. Now, my 16-year-old self did not have all this vocabulary and all this science to back it up and all of that stuff. But in my routine, in my rituals, and those things that I was building, I was preparing my energy for the day. Okay. And I was using music as a tool, but I was also like probably moving around and doing my habits, my rituals in the very same order so that everything felt very grounded. Okay. And so I think that's really important. So after music, rituals is kind of the next thing. Could be related if you have music in your rituals, but if you're like not a music person and you wish I would stop talking about music, here we go. Rituals and doing the same things in the same order and just having a method to our madness and maybe making sure a walk is in there or whatever it is that is part of your ritual is very grounding and not only signals to our dogs what is normal and what is going to happen and becomes very predictable for them, but it signals that to our nervous system as well. And so you might want to end your morning ritual on your own with some jumping jacks if you want to get, more energetic or from some stretching or something like that is just getting you in the moment. So lean on your rituals and build rituals that get you in that right energetic space as well. And then during the day, if you have to reach for, trying to reset, then maybe you can do part of that ritual. If part of your ritual is going for a walk, maybe you go for a walk without your dog just to get you kind of back in the right headspace, or you do some physical stretching and you almost go back to the beginning of the day when you started off in that good headspace. Okay. Another thing, of course, is, journaling. If journaling helps you get everything out, then go into your car and whip out that journal and just unload onto a page, and get it out and get reset. That could work too. I also like physical movement, as we talked about, like going for a walk, doing something like that, just getting away and maybe sitting in your car or meditating or just being away from everybody else and the peanut gallery and the advice you don't want or whatever else it is, and just resetting and restarting your day. Sometimes food is really helpful. I talk a lot about the fact that if we're low on protein or we're low on hydration, that really can have effect on our mood and our energy. So make sure that maybe you go off and eat something, and maybe you go off and eat alone and talk to yourself and, try to get yourself in a positive headspace. Maybe you listen to a podcast, or, maybe you have the Pep Talk podcast or something on repeat or something if you just need to listen to something again. Okay. Mark those podcasts, save them. You can download things or whatever. Okay. So think about what are your own things that get you into that reset or that allow you to reset quickly. Okay. And maybe it's breathing exercises at the ring. Maybe it's just a mantra. Those are very handy. And, in a lot of these cases, mantras, breathing exercises, walking, meditations, and music, sometimes that's all part of our ritual. Sometimes all of it is, but you might find that something in there gets you back to the energy that you want faster. Like it's a really fast, if you need to, if you can't go back through your whole ritual. Now, if you can go back through your whole ritual, do it. Reset your day. If you get to a point in your day and you're like, I got time and I'm going to reset this whole darn day, then do it. Go redo everything, and just start over. Okay. And, yeah. So for our dogs now, sometimes they need to reset too. And sometimes what they need and what we need are not the same thing. So if you think that you can reset your dog's energy without resetting yourself, then great, do that. I probably can't do that, or I wouldn't trust myself to do that. I believe very much in the, put your own mask on first approach to things, where I've got to take care of my own energy first because I don't want to bring that mess to my dogs. If my dogs need to reset, they're too wild, too nervous, too frustrated, too shut down, too happy, too sad, too whatever, right? Then I need to show up with the right energy first. Otherwise, if we come out of the ring and I'm frustrated and my dogs knows I'm frustrated, so now they're feeling a little wonky, like how am I going to reset them? Am I just going to wait and and then the next time they come out of the crate, assume that they've forgotten everything, right? And they're good now. They got to potty. They're fine now. Are they? Are they though? So I really have started to pay more attention to this, where I get myself straight first and do whatever I need to do. I seldom get angry, so usually it's just frustrated or bummed or something like that. But I know that I got to get my mind right. And then I'll go walk my dog and let them just do whatever they want. If they want to sniff all the things and it takes us an hour to walk from, an eighth of a mile or whatever it is, because that's what they want to do, then that's what we're doing, because they're resetting themselves too. So pay attention to how our dogs reset. They usually show us, right? Dogs who are, overwhelmed, maybe they go away from you. Maybe they're like, I just need a minute away from you. And so they go to the end of the leash. Well, maybe this is a time to use a flexi and walk them and let them have some space, some physical space between you and them while they work it out. So again, you're going to have to brainstorm. You can't necessarily put music in their ears and get them to listen to their favorite song to get them hyped again, but they probably do need some kind of a reset. When dogs are out in the wild, if you will, or in the wilds of our backyard, and they're playing or whatever, or they play too hard, one thing they'll do, they'll separate themselves from the pack and they'll literally physically shake, right? Or they'll separate themselves from the other dog for a minute, kind of walk it off, and then come back and start playing again, right? So watch how your dogs reset and watch how they need. Now, maybe if they just sleep in the crate for an hour, they'll be fine. But maybe this is a time they need to go back in the car for a minute and really rest and reset rather than be in the trial environment. I don't know. Again, brainstorming. This is where you've got to pay attention to your dog, develop awareness, watch how they reset themselves, watch when they come back out with better energy. What happened? What did you do? What did they do? Did they need to chew on a bone or something because they just need to get their out, or maybe you need to, after you reset yourself, go get them and just play tug for 5 minutes and let them just get it out. Like, I don't know your dog, right? This is where you're going to have to figure out what they need, what you need, and make that a priority, right? Don't just go back in the trial environment, slump down in a chair with your arms, your shoulders all slumped over and your pouty face on and eating a bag of Cheetos, okay? As much as that can sound appealing at some times, that is not going to get you back to the energy you need. Now, if you need to do that, fine. Do that for 5 minutes and then get over it. Reset your energy. Realize your dog needs to reset their energy. It's not going to magically happen in the crate while you're, in between classes, and figure out what you can do. Okay. And you probably need a couple different versions. What do I need to do if I need to reset fast, i.e. I don't have very much time in between runs, or what can I do if I have more time? Okay. And just have a plan for that, because sometimes, if it goes wrong in the morning, if we make a mistake or we get off on a bad foot, or we're on a bad, frequency, frame of mind, wavelength, whatever, sometimes we don't recover. Well, I'm telling you, you can recover, but you're just going to have to make an effort and figure out how to prioritize and set aside time to recover, to do that work. Okay. So that is this week's homework. Figure out what it takes to recover, how you're going to reset, and have a plan for that should it come up, and what you're going to lean on. And if you don't have a plan and you're practicing and it comes up this weekend or whenever you're hearing this, just go back into your rituals and think about what's the one thing that shifts my energy really fast, and look at your dog. What's the one thing in my rituals that shifts my dog's energy really fast, and start there, and then lean into curiosity and just go from there and figure out how you can reset your energy when you need it. Thanks so much for listening to the Mindset Coaching for Handlers podcast with me, Julie Bacon. I am so grateful for your precious time. Check out my Dogged Planner workbook and journal, available on Amazon. Just search for Dogged Planner. I also offer monthly membership that's perfect for ongoing support of your awesome goals. Check out theqcoach.com for details, or just stop by and check out all the ways you can work on your mindset. And be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at theqcoach, and let me know how it's going. Finally, please share, subscribe, and leave a review. This helps us podcasters tremendously. Plus, I know I get my best podcast recommendations from friends. Thanks, and have a great week with your dogs.